Hi there, I'm Sean Dillman. Thank you very much for joining me for this question and answer video. I recently received 5 different questions from different people, and I wanted to respond to each of you with an answer that really got to the heart of your concerns and your questions. So the easiest way to do that, I think, is to make a video. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 different comments that I received from the 5 different people, and then I'm going to walk through them one by one in that order. So these are the comments. This is the first one from Parapluie5. This is a great username, by the way. It's the French word for umbrella. J'aime ça beaucoup. And then the next one we have is from Michael Wolf. It's a bit of a longer question. It's a great one. We have this question from Marshall Rosenberg. I responded to Marshall, but I didn't hear back. I just wanted a little bit of specificity about what kind of unit Marshall has, but I can answer the question in any event, I think. This is a message I got by email. I took out the person's name. I just put their last initial, J, at the bottom, just so that I'm not giving away much about who they are or their identity or anything like that. I trust that they are okay with this. And the last one is from Marva Holt. This is a great question. The reason that this one is last is because I actually need to go and test something to give the answer, because I actually don't know it off the top of my head. So, okay, so going back to the first one, Parapluie5. Parapluie5 has asked, when using the iX1600 to scan hard plastic ID cards, is there a way to format the output or saved PDF image to be both sides on a single 8.5 by 11 page, or is 2 card size pages the only output option that you have to later manipulate and merge in a program like Preview? And Parapluie is using a Mac. This is a great question. Essentially, what we are looking at is something that is called, something that I've used on many different scanners, and it's called CardShot in a lot of ways. There's a website that has a really great picture. I'm just looking for it now, just to show what we're kind of trying to do. Oh, here we are, Toshiba. Okay. So this website, this is a web page on a Toshiba website, and essentially the idea, if a person's not familiar with this, is if this is a card, I'm just checking to see if I have a business card handy or a card. I'll show you my wallet. So if this is the front of the card and then this is the back of the card, basically you want to put the card down on the glass, scan the front of the card, and then you want to be able to flip it over, put that down, and then scan that side. And then on this picture on the right, you either want the front and the back to be kind of in this orientation or in this orientation. And there are lots of different scanners that you can buy that will do this for you automatically. It has, I think I've used the Xerox product where they call it CardShot. Toshiba here, I can see they are calling it CardShot. That seems to be kind of the way that it's being described. So with respect to the iX1600, when you scan a card, an ID card, typically it scans it either as a PDF with 2 pages, or if you scan it as an image file, like as a PNG file, it'll save it as 2 separate files. To my knowledge, there is not something like CardShot on the iX1600. It would be great if there was. I think that it's probably doable through the software if Fujitsu wanted to do it. I shouldn't put words in their mouth or anything, but essentially all the scanner needs to do is hold the data in memory of the front side and then scan the second side and then, you know, put them one on top of each other or side to side, as we see in these diagrams here. Do that in a single file. So as far as a workaround goes, I'm just trying to think if we don't have that functionality with the iX1600, and I think that we do not, I could follow up with my people at Fujitsu to see if it can do it, but I really don't think it can, because I've looked through you know, all of the manuals and all of the specs, and I've never seen that. But maybe I'm mistaken. But assuming that we can't do that, I'm thinking that probably the easiest way to do it, assuming that you've got Photoshop, is maybe just scan the front and the back as PNG files or JPEGs or whatever kind of image file you want. It's going to create 2 separate image files, and then I guess what you would want to do is maybe just have a template ready that you've already kind of made in Photoshop, where you've got the outline here and you've got the outline there, and then you can just drag the files in. And actually, now that I think about it, that would be a pretty easy thing for me to do to make you the demo file. So why don't you just give me a second and I will do that. I'll stop the video and then I'll be right back and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I just took about 5 minutes and I put together this image. So essentially, wow, this is a Photoshop file. So you see here on the right, this layer is a folder containing these 4 elements, the text, ID front, ID back, and then these rectangles. So you can turn that on and off, or you could lock it. Where's the lock function? Here it is. So that, you know, it's always on, or you can't delete it, or whatever locking a layer does in Photoshop. Okay, so then what you can do is you can then take your folder. So let's say we've scanned the documents already, front and back, and then we would just kind of drag them in, and then enter, good. And then this is the front. I just used one of my old business cards. So this is the front of the document. This is the back of the document. Keep in mind, I just used the shift button and up and down. I didn't even use the mouse when I was positioning the documents. And then that's it. And then I'll just save the document as a PDF. So in this case, I'll go to File, Save As, save it as a PDF file. Oh, and by the way, Parapluie, if you'd like a copy of this Photoshop template file, I'll give you the download link, and you can download it and use it. Ideally, it'll be helpful for you. If you want to add anything to it, you know, in the top corner, you could add client name, and then you could always change that when you make a new version, or different things like that. So yeah, let me know if it's helpful to you, and let me know if you'd want to see any other changes on the template. Yeah, here we go. And then this is what it looks like saved as a PDF. Fortunately, when you're using Adobe products, it's generally really easy to go between, you know, making a Photoshop file into a PDF, or making a PDF into a Photoshop file, or an Illustrator file, or a PNG, or whatever you need to do. So yeah, off the top of my head, I think that would maybe be kind of your faster solution, Parapluie. It's not a perfect solution, and it definitely takes a lot more time than if we just had a card shot function. That's for sure. That's for sure. But I don't think that there is such a function with the iX1600. Like I said, I can take a look and get in touch with my people at Fujitsu and see if they if I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. So, okay, so we will leave it at that for your question. Thank you very much for that. We're going to get into Michael Wolf's question. It's a longer one. Hey, Sean, thanks for the review. I have some questions as well. Some questions too. I've got the ScanSnap iX500 for a while, and I'm not happy with the ScanSnap software. I use the scanner mostly to scan documents, PDF, and I find that the files are too big in comparison with a big printer scanner in my office. Like, I'm guessing you mean like a multi-unit, like a big Xerox, or a big, you know, a really big unit that has all these functions. With the older ScanSnap software, not ScanSnap Home, I found a few settings that gave me an acceptable size and an acceptable quality. Some of these settings aren't possible with the ScanSnap Home software anymore, so I can't use ScanSnap Home. For me, it's absolutely necessary to get small sizes without needing to resize them, and you want the PDF A format. Now for my questions. And before I get to the next part, yes, my understanding is that ScanSnap did indeed move to the ScanSnap Home to basically be the software for all of those products, and that the old software is discontinued, especially with the older models from the ScanSnap lineup. Okay, do you know if there is a possibility to get really small files without lack of quality, similar to a big printer scanner in an office? I thought that this must be only a software problem, or it's the hardware too. Are there any differences in scan quality and or PDF file size between the iX500 and iX1600, both using ScanSnap Home in the same settings? With the iX500, I can't scan with Acrobat Pro 11. The program doesn't find the scanner. Yeah, for sure. That's a problem. I'll get into that. Do you know if that is possible with the iX1600 and or the Adobe Acrobat DC? Right off the top, I will say I think that the answer is no, and that you cannot scan directly into third-party software using the iX1600. I'll explain about that in just a moment. Do you know a document scanner whose software and hardware gives me similar PDF files like the big printer scanner? Sorry for my English. I hope you understand the description in the section, the questions. Thank you for your answer. Best regards, Michael. Your English is great. No problem, Michael. Thank you very much for your question. So this is a tricky question. Basically, what you're saying is you have an iX500, you like it, you liked the way it was working, but you want to get small files that are PDF /A files without lacking quality. And you're wondering, how do I do that? And you also want to be able to connect directly to your software using the scanner. So, I'm actually really happy to announce, I'm looking down because I have some things I'm going to show you. I'm happy to announce that I recently received some more scanners from Fujitsu to review. So one of those scanners is this. This is the iX1600. This is part of the ScanSnap lineup. So I will soon be releasing an unboxing video and a review video. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the scanner is like in terms of quality and capacity and capabilities and everything like that. I think that this is not the scanner for you. Let me explain. So this is the iX1600 that your question is on that video that I've done a review of, and this is a great scanner. I absolutely love this scanner. It's wonderful. But this scanner does not communicate with third-party software. You can really only use it with ScanSnap Home because it's not Twain or ISIS compatible. It's basically a standard that allows a piece of hardware to talk to third-party software. We don't have that with the Fujitsu ScanSnap lineup because Fujitsu, the plan is for you to use a ScanSnap Home software. There are some workarounds that I see here and there online, but I'm not really a fan of trying kind of funky third-party software to make the hardware do something that it wasn't designed to do. I'm not sure if that stuff works, and I won't go there because I have one more thing to show you. Okay, so this is the Fujitsu FI8170. So this is a higher level scanner. And by the way, I should mention in terms of price, the iX1300 is about $300. The iX1600 that I just showed you is about $600. And this FI8170 is about $1,000. However, this scanner is much more a business level scanner, a higher level scanner. It's kind of the workhorse of the business industry of the business world when you're getting into a scanner that you need to be much more professional and much more reliable and faster and higher quality than the scanners from the ScanSnap lineup. ScanSnap scanners are wonderful. I love them very much, but they do not have the kind of heavy duty quality and the heavy duty parts and components and software that something like this scanner has. So that being said, I don't have a complete answer to your question because I haven't started to kind of dig into these scanners yet. You mentioned, is it the hardware or is it the software that's going to dictate your scanning quality and the size of the file? It's actually probably going to be both because depending on how high quality of a camera or the scanning components are, they're going to be able to get even finer details out of the document. And depending on the processing power in the unit, it's going to be able to compress those images, even more and even more quickly. With respect to connecting to third-party software, this FI8170 is Twain and ISIS compatible, so that's something to keep in mind, which means you are going to be able to make it interface with third-party software. I'm not sure specifically about interfacing with Acrobat Pro, but I have Adobe Cloud and I have all of those products, so for you, I could actually go and test that when I start getting into the FI8170. I can test and see, can I scan directly into Acrobat? How's that going to work? What's it going to look like? And then when I start to do those tests, I can also keep an eye on the quality and help you out on that front. Basically, I can do some different scans using, the same piece of paper, but doing different settings, different software settings, different hardware settings if I can change them. And we can see about dialing in a scan that's going to be really specific to what you're looking for in terms of size and quality. So if you'd like to get in touch with me and tell me more about kind of the specifications that you're looking for and the ballpark of where you want to be with your files and the size and everything like that, then let me know, and then I can use that kind of as a benchmark when I start actually testing these units. So that's something that I'm going to be doing very soon. I'm really grateful to have these scanners from Fujitsu, and I'm really excited to be announcing on this video that I have them and that I'll be doing this work. So yeah, I've opened them up. I've done the unboxing video shooting and some of the editing, but I'm still in the process of using them and learning more about them so that I can give a really great review. So that being said, thank you very much for your question, Michael. I hope that that was helpful. Next question, Marshall Rosenberg. So he said, I believe it's a he, thanks Sean for your helpful videos. How do I add Wi-Fi to an already installed ScanSnap Home install on a Mac, which has only been set up for USB? So I responded to Marshall and I said, you're welcome, Marshall. Thank you for checking out my videos and for your question. What kind of ScanSnap unit do you have? An iX1600, iX1300, iX100? So I'm just going to go to the ScanSnap website. The reason that I asked this question is because only some scanners support Wi-Fi, or only some scanners from the ScanSnap line support Wi-Fi. Where are we? Aha, okay, here we go. So desktop. So this little icon is essentially telling us that, you know, it has Wi-Fi and it can connect to the cloud. This one does Wi-Fi, the iX1600. iX1400 does not. The iX1300 here, this has Wi-Fi. The S1300i, I believe it does not have Wi-Fi support. Same thing down here. The iX100, this has Wi-Fi. The S1100i, this does not have Wi-Fi, and same with the SV600, no Wi-Fi support. So the reason that I am pointing that out is because it depends on the scanner that Marshall has. If Marshall has a scanner that is not Wi-Fi compatible, then it's not going to happen, right? However, if Marshall does have one of those scanners, then it probably could happen. However, this unit, the ScanSnap iX1300, this is a Wi-Fi compatible scanner, but I haven't started reviewing it yet, number one. Number two, I don't see that it has kind of a display or a touchscreen or anything where I can alter the Wi-Fi settings on this unit. So if you already had ScanSnap Home set up and then you were trying, pardon me, take a step back. If you set up ScanSnap Home using an iX1300, using only Wi-Fi, using only USB, pardon me, how would you set it up for Wi-Fi? I don't know. I haven't done it yet. There's a switch on the back which says Wi-Fi off and Wi-Fi on, so maybe we could do that to kind of communicate with the software and then set up the Wi-Fi process later. And then if we were looking at something like the iX1600, if you look at my video on this unit, it's got this great touchscreen on the front, and we would be able to use this touchscreen to connect to our wireless access point right here on the touchscreen. It's fantastic. You know, it's full color and, you know, it looks great, and there's all kinds of settings. So with this scanner, we would be able to set up the Wi-Fi after the fact. If we had first only set it up using USB, we would later be able to set it up using Wi-Fi. So if Marshall wants to get back to me and let me know what kind of scanner Marshall is using, that would be helpful and I could help even more. But if you look at my ScanSnap Home install video, that might be helpful. And it's a question that was actually on my mind. You know, how would you install Wi-Fi using like an iX1600 if you had already just set it up using USB? I'm sure that there's a simple way to do it. I'm really confident that you would be able to do it using the touchscreen. So if Marshall or anybody else is interested in that, I could make a specific video on that. Okay, next question is this one from Jay. So Jay says, hello, I'm enjoying your ScanSnap iX1600 videos on YouTube. I'm setting up my new purchase to scan thousands of photos and looking at cloud services. By the way, take a look at my video on how to scan everything if you haven't. Ideally, that will help you with what is a fairly large task of scanning that many photos. A review by the CyberLab video highly recommends PC Cloud and OneDrive. They say PC Cloud is in Switzerland and has military encryption, and not sure how secure OneDrive is and how different it is from Google Photos. I don't need military encryption, but want photos to be secure for many years. That's fair. I think most of us don't need military encryption. Probably only the military does, but it sounds like an interesting selling point. Do you know if it's possible to modify the settings on the iX1600 to use other cloud services besides the preset ones? trying to figure out the best workflow. With Google Photos, I experienced that I have to manually edit after scanning to rotate or move into a folder. I actually experienced that as well. I had really high hopes for Google Photos. I watched a video that talked about how it will automatically adjust the orientation of the videos. You know, if you scan a picture of somebody and it's upside down, Google Photos will recognize that it's upside down and flip it. However, I uploaded a ton of photos to Google Photos and it didn't do anything. And I looked online, you know, how do you kickstart it? How do you do it? How do you ask it, you know, hey, auto rotate my photos? And there was all kinds of comments and threads I was finding where people said, Google isn't fixing this. They don't care about this. I think somebody said they used to work at Google and it seemed like a feature that wasn't going to be addressed. So I don't know the status of that. But yeah, I had the same problem. It didn't work for me. Would you be able to share any resources for my situation? I'm looking forward to seeing your recommended settings video. Thanks, Jay. I never made that video. I still plan to do it. My recommended best settings for the iX1600 as far as the best way to set up the hardware and the software. I started writing the script, but I just didn't get around to it. So excuse me on that one. So yeah, can you use other cloud services beside the presets? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you probably can. It's not a great answer because I'm not saying yes or no. I'm not quite sure. It seems that there's all kinds of options in the ScanSnap Home software. Actually, maybe I could bring that up. Just give me a second. Okay, so yeah, jumping into the ScanSnap software. So this is what it looks like. I'll just go on this profile here, just to edit the profile, and then come down here, Dropbox, Evernote, Google Drive, OneDrive. So beyond these cloud services that are already available, I'm not sure if you would be able to configure other ones. Probably though, what you could do, like for example, what I do with my OneDrive is I have it set up so that my ScanSnap software saves my scans into my OneDrive folder, just using, you know, a regular scan, like I don't know, scan to folder. So down here, the save to location, I just make sure that that save to location is within my OneDrive folder, and I make sure that my OneDrive software is running. So anytime I scan a document, it goes into my OneDrive folder, and then OneDrive detects that new document, and then it syncs it with the cloud. So that's the way I do it. I actually don't even use typically, I don't use one of these buttons where I'm saving to OneDrive through ScanSnap Home. I'm just using the ScanSnap Home software as if it was just scanning into folders, which it's doing, and then those folders get synced. So that's an approach that you can try. So as far as security goes, I use Microsoft products, so I use OneDrive. I don't have a problem with the security. I think that Microsoft is a reputable company. I think that it's very important to them that they not suffer a big cybersecurity episode or a breach. You know, they are one of the biggest software companies on the planet, and they're not interested in that happening on their watch. The same is true for Google. If you want to learn more about OneDrive, I believe that their server system is called Azure. So that's maybe something you could just look up. You just go to Microsoft Azure, and they have a website where there's probably more information than you'd ever want to see about you know, what they do, how they do it, where your data is being stored, how they are encrypting it or not encrypting it, you know, security, multi-cloud, hybrid environments. You know, again, I'll leave this to you. I wish that I could just give you a simple answer to this, but I don't think that there is a simple answer. So yeah, here's your question again. Thank you very much for this. Really appreciate it. And then Marva Holt is the last question that I'm going to get to. So Marva said, this is helpful. I have a new ScanSnap iX1600. Congrats, I hope you're enjoying it. Is OCR automatically activated? If not, how do I set up a new profile to include that? Thanks. I don't know. I have not set up a new install of ScanSnap Home recently. However, I think that there's nothing that you need to do. So this is a new install of ScanSnap Home. So we click here on Edit Profile, Automatic, Detailed Settings, Convert to Searchable JPEG, PDF, Convert to Searchable PDF. I think you just need this little checkbox to be checked. we go under options, output PDF/A. This is the format that Michael, we were talking about that in an earlier question. At the top here it says convert to searchable PDF. Okay, so let's give it a go. I just got this piece of mail from Shopify. I don't think that I think it's an advertisement basically. I don't think it has anything confidential on it. So let's put this in. Okay, so I just put that into my iX1600, press scan. Okay, it just scanned. And then I am going to click on open to open it with Acrobat. And yeah, it looks like it detected the, it looks like it detected all of the writing. I'm just going to paste this into a notepad file. So this is the way that I typically test to see how well a scanner is picking things up. So Spobify, everything you need to start, run, and grow your online business. Say SEI up, connect I. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's doing a great job. So if I click here using Adobe Acrobat, recognize text in this file, recognize text. I've actually never done this. I don't know if it's going to overwrite the OCR that's already been done that's in the document, but let's try it. So I will copy all of that information, open a notepad file, paste it in. Everything you need to start, run, and grow your online business, set up. So it looks like it did a better job, probably. I actually use the tool in Adobe Acrobat to do my OCR work. Typically, what you can do is you can either select an individual file to OCR, or you can tell it to OCR a bunch of files. Generally speaking, I find that the OCR done by Adobe is, you know, probably the best out there. I don't know. I know that Canon and Fujitsu and other companies use technology to run optical character recognition on documents and auto detect the words. But I think that whatever Adobe is doing, whatever kind of algorithms or formulas or systems that they use to OCR documents, to me it seems to give the most reliable and high quality results. It usually can really see what's in a document and get the words right, and doesn't usually return a bunch of garbled text or junk like that. So, but yeah, it seems that the OCR is automatically turned on. To return to your question, it seems like it's automatically turned on when you do a new install. I think that those boxes are checked. If they're not checked, then just go and make sure that they are checked. And yeah, okay, with that, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your questions. I hope that this was helpful. If there's any other information that you need, please just comment on the thread, and that way we can keep the conversation going. We can keep it here in YouTube, and that way other people can learn from this stuff as well. Okay, I will leave it at that. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it, and have a great day.